So Tory Lanez, his legal team is claiming that they have a statement from a bodyguard of Kelsey's. Kelsey's was Meg's best friend, Meg Thee Stallion's best friend, claiming that he overheard some things that changes Tory Lanez sitting in jail, that Tory Lanez is not guilty and Kelsey is. Let's take a listen.
Not long ago, Unite the People was approached by a gentleman named Bradley James. Mr. James informed us he was working as the bodyguard and driver for Miss Kelsey Harris during Mr. Peterson's trial. As such, he was in close proximity and he had privy to conversations she was having with her husband and others. Mr. James informed us he was not under a non-disclosure agreement or a confidentiality agreement and was free to speak with Unite the People. Mr. James informed Unite the People that he was a witness to the conversation Miss Harris had where she stated she had the gun, she fired it 3 times, Mr. Peterson grabbed her arm and knocked it down, and the gun fired 2 more times. In essence, Mr. Peterson never shot anybody, never even touched that gun, never fired the gun.
If he heard that during the trial, why wouldn't he say something then?
Well, now, I do have a question. Unite the People, I know it's a team of lawyers and activists who fight for social justice, but are they Tory Lanez's attorney, or they are an independent agency that just helps people in their cases?
No, they are, as I've been speaking to them, they are Tory Lanez attorneys. Okay. It's a group of them. It's a group of, there's multiple attorneys that work on cases together, and they specifically work with people who they feel like are put in a bad position because of the justice system.
Okay.
Well, my question, if the bodyguard driver heard that during the trial, why wouldn't he say something then?
I'm not for sure. There was something about it. Actually, I do know the answer to that question. Give me a second, because there was something that he said about an NDA.
He said he didn't sign it.
There was no NDA. He could.
I don't know that. I just remember the conversation about an NDA. But if he said he didn't sign one, I have no idea. But I will say people are asking why Tory Lanez didn't say something at the time in court. And y'all remember Tory Lanez came out with that letter, and he was accusing Sean Hawley of basically not letting him testify when he said that he wanted to. He said that he didn't want to take the plea deal and he wanted to be able to speak for himself. But this is interesting, like how this whole thing came up, because it came from a writer at the New York Post. Let's take a listen to that part of it.
The New York Post recently reached out to the prior district attorney, George Gascon, Megan Pete and her representatives, and Kelsey Harris and her representatives. The only party that responded last week was Megan Pete's representatives with a request for more information. A few days later, Mr. Peterson's brutally attacked in his jail cell.
Now, that's a big claim because basically they're pinpointing it, because there's a lot of theories running online that this is like a whole setup and blah, 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 blah. And these attorneys are leaning into that. That's a huge claim to throw on Meg Thee Stallion's legal team. And Meg Thee Stallion's legal team actually issued a statement. They sent us a statement, and the statement basically said that this was already decided in court and they're not going to go back and forth. Alex Spiro said Tory Lanez was tried and convicted by a jury of his peers, and his case was properly adjudicated through the court system. This is not a political matter. This is a case of violent assault that was resolved in the court of law.
I mean, that's right. I mean, none of us really know what happened that night. We weren't there. But just like the attorney just said, Tory was found guilty in a court of law. And you just look at the evidence. Megan's testimony, medical records that confirm she had bullet fragments in her feet, the apologetic jail call from Tory, the neighbor who testified that they saw Tory fire the gun, the forensic evidence because the gun used in the shooting was found in Tory's vehicle. The DNA was inconclusive, but that was the evidence the jury used to convict him. So I just asked 2 simple questions. If you know they have all that evidence against you, if you're Tory Lanez, why wouldn't you just take the stand and simply say Kelsey shot her? And what reason would Megan have not to tell on Kelsey?
I agree with you 1,000%. But if this is a fact and this is true, what this bodyguard is saying, I think it should be listened to see if it's proven or not, regardless, because it could open up some other things. Because at the end of the day, whether you are on Tory's side or Megan's side, you want the truth, right? And if he knows something, he should be able to speak.
Well, why wouldn't he say that during the trial?
If
a driver or bodyguard allegedly overheard that conversation while the trial was happening, why wouldn't you say something then?
I'm 1,000% with you.
I know, and I do remember from the press conference that they said that the bodyguard, the reason why he came out was because, or came to them with the information, was because he felt bad. He said he felt guilty seeing couldn't sleep seeing an innocent man, according to him, sitting behind bars.
So once again, why wouldn't you say something then? like everybody was following that trial.
I guess everybody conscious.
Everybody knew the evidence that was against him. So if you felt that way, then you should have said something. At the end of the day, choices were made, and the choice to not take the stand, Tory Lanez, and defend yourself and tell your truth was a poor choice.
I agree 1,000%, but you still want the facts. Like, you want the truth of, regardless of whose side you're on, whose team you're on. You want the truth to make sure
once
people are
again,
making the right
at the
decision.
end
You know?
of the day, the